If you held him up when he was a baby, his legs would be going. And we had, my cousin and her husband came from Birmingham. And my cousin's husband is a singer and very in, tone and music and movement. And he held Deep's, and Deep's legs were going like crazy. And he turned round to my husband and he said, "Do you know what? This boy of yours is going to be a dancer one day." He was 6 months old. My husband remembers it as if it was said to him yesterday.
ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲੀ ਜਦੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਉਹ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਸੈਂਟਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਨਾ ਉਹ ਆਉਂਦਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਸੀ ਚੈਕ ਸਿਖਾਉਣ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਕੀ ਨਾਂ ਸੀ ਉਸ ਡਾਂਸ ਦਾ Capoeira.
Because I think he was like 5, 6. Genuinely, he was little. And he was learning capoeira and musical instruments and Portuguese and songs. But in terms of movement, I've been seeing that for years. I've been seeing him play with movement. I've moved with him. I used to hold him here and his arms would be going. His hands, just remember his hands all the time. They were always moving, always like playful, always exploring.
It's his whole makeup. His whole chemistry is movement. People did point out things, family had their doubts, comments were made about, what kind of career is this, prancing about on a stage.
ਕਈ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੇ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਇਹੋ ਜਿਹੀਆਂ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਆਖੀਆਂ ਸਨ ਭਈ ਇਹ ਇੰਨੇ ਕਿਹੜਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਨਾ ਡਾਂਸ ਕਿਹੜੀ ਕੋਈ ਚੀਜ਼ ਹੈ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਕੋਈ ਚੰਗੀ ਕੋਈ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਇੰਜੀਨੀਅਰਿੰਗ ਸਿਖਾਉਣੀ ਸੀ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਜਾਂ ਕੋਈ ਹੋਰ ਕੰਮ ਤੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਲਾਉਣਾ ਸੀ ਜਾਂ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਕੋਈ ਕਿਸੇ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦਾ ਹੋਰ ਕੋਰਸ ਕਰਾਉਣਾ ਸੀ ਇਹ ਕੋਈ ਕਿਹੜਾ ਤੂੰ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਕੋਰਸ ਉੱਤੇ ਡਾਂਸ ਦੇ ਕੰਮ ਵਿੱਚ ਲਾਤਾ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਉਸ ਵੇਲੇ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਥੋੜਾ ਜਿਹਾ ਇਸ ਚੀਜ਼ ਦਾ ਹੋਇਆ ਸੀ
ਪਰ ਉਦੋਂ ਫਿਕਰ ਹੋਇਆ
ਸੀ ਹਾਂ
We live in a world that's not kind, that's centres a quite Eurocentric global north narrative, especially in dance. So yeah, I was worried because I thought that the opportunities won't be there for him.
ਪਰ ਬਾਅਦ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਮੈਂ ਸੋਚਿਆ ਜੇ ਉਹ ਕਰਨਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਜਿਸ ਗੱਲ ਨੇ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਬਹੁਤ ਕੀਤਾ ਨਾ ਇਨਕਰੇਜ ਇਸ ਕੰਮ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਇੱਕ ਵਾਰੀ ਛੋਟਾ ਜਿਹਾ ਸੀ ਦੀਪਰਾਜ ਤੇ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਅਸੀਂ ਇਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਖੜਾਉਂਦੇ ਪਏ ਸਾਂ ਫਰੰਟ ਰੂਮ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ 82 ਚੈਲਸੀ ਰੋਡ ਤੇ ਉਹ ਨਾ ਖਲੋਤਾ ਐਸਾ ਮੂਵਮੈਂਟ ਕਰਨ ਲੱਗ ਪਿਆ ਤੇ ਜਸਵੰਤ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਨਿੰਦੀ ਦੇ ਘਰ ਵਾਲਾ ਉਹ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਹੈ ਜਸਕਰਨ ਸਿੰਘ ਤੇਰਾ ਮੁੰਡਾ ਡਾਂਸ ਕਰਦਾ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਡਾਂਸਰ ਬਣਾਵੀਂ ਉਸ ਗੱਲ ਨੇ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਬਹੁਤ ਇਨਕਰੇਜ ਕੀਤਾ ਫਿਰ ਮੈਂ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਆਖਿਆ ਵੀ ਠੀਕ ਹੈ ਜੇ ਇਹ ਡਾਂਸਰ ਬਣਨਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ ਨਾ ਤੇ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਡਾਂਸਰ ਹੀ ਬਣਨਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਹੈ
Everybody should do what their heart desires. And there is a whole thing around performing arts. It's a career actually based on faith because it's not work that it's not like a 9-to-5 job and you're going to get a wage at the end of the month. But I had absolute faith that he did as well, that he'd be fine.
Years ago, he entered into this kind of youth dance kind of world and auditioned. And years later, what we were told years later, was that in the back room, after Deepraj auditioned, the white director thought that he didn't have the right look. And opened up a discussion about taking him out. And this other producer came in and said, let's think about this. Why? Why are we having this response? Instead of opening up a discussion about this person's different, there's the door, challenge that and question, well, why? What about him? What about Deepraj is different? Why is that? What's bad about that? Because I think that individual saw the joy and the freedom and the potential, and this other individual had their blinkers on. When I think of 13-year-old Deepraj and the door being closed on him in that space and him being ousted, I feel hopeless, I feel sad, I feel like something's been cut down, it feels loss, bereavement, it feels like I don't know what Deepraj's life would have been like. He wouldn't be allowed to be him. That's what he'd be. And anybody who's not allowed to be themselves just gets lost in the world.
When we were at that like huge tower thing, I think that's when we saw your last performance. You were quite flexible. You were like,
I always think of my mum and dad when I go to his performances. My dad loved music and poetry, and I'm thinking if he was here, he'd be so proud.
Because he wanted to connect people, and he knew that music, movement, creativity, this is what is it within our culture. We're poets, we're philosophers, we're dancers.
It's such a valuable communication. Dance, movement.
Movement is a physical way of getting your emotions out, rather than it being in your mind so much.
I think it's vital. I don't just think it's important. I think it's absolute vital that people have that in their lives.
It's creativity, movement, music. And my granddad knew that coming here, and he like used it as a blueprint to set us up.
The day my dad died, my mum had 8 children and £40. And she brought up her children. She ran a successful business. And it really brought it home when I saw Deeps in Jaipur perform at the Palace of the Winds. And people from all around the world were watching him. And I was thinking, Mum, that's a seed you've planted with that £40 and nothing but hard work and absolute purity and honesty. And for me, when I see Deeps dance, I really feel he honours my mum. He honours everything she believed in because he dances from his heart. There's nothing but pure about it.